Warrington, Brian McDermott and the Leeds Rhinos. An electric atmosphere. It is this moment that makes every player's hairs on the back of their neck stand on end.
I thought it was a really interesting season actually, because many of the teams that you'd usually associate with big massive Super League teams like Warrington, Wigan, St Helens for a large part of the season probably weren't at their best and weren't performing in the way that we usually see them, but it was refreshing to see teams like Salford and Wakefield and Castleford, particularly those rhubarb triangle type guys, doing so well and bringing a different dynamic to the Super League season. Obviously all we're bothered about is Leeds Rhinos, and that's all I focused on, is getting us back to our best, bringing that next generation group of players that I've been banging on about for the last 2 years to the forefront. And it was fantastic to see them playing some of their best rugby, particularly after fighting relegation, being in that middle eights in 2016 and seeing the disappointment that the club went through.
Obviously I think the favourites from the start throughout the year were obviously Castleford. The performances they put in the results they had during the year were, they were really on fire, and I think they were the favourites as well.
We had a plan and we executed it quite well throughout the season. We just made a gradual build up for the season and worked a lot of things, and obviously it came off for us near the end of the season, playing the obvious favourites who are the Castleford Tigers.
So going into the whole game, the semi-final, with Danny Maguire and Rob Burrows last game, he didn't so much play on a mind, but I think it was quite a bit of motivation, and it highlighted the fact that those guys have been there, they've done it, and they've performed on that stage, and they're really clinical and know what they're doing. So it really helped us in that semi-final, and I think it gave us that push and that kind of last big effort really to send them out on a high at Headingley, but also to get us to Old Trafford and to go and do what those guys have shown that they've done so many times in the past.
Yeah, the semi-final against Hull was a big cauldron. It was a big smelting pot, and it brought about a bit of anxiety because of the semi-final in the Challenge Cup. Hull were fantastic in that semi-final and absolutely blew us away, but we just weren't at the races. And after that semi-final at Challenge Cup, you start to wonder whether we're in sort of championship winning form, and I don't think we were at that point, but there's always a chance to bring that back round and as a group get ourselves into that meerkat mode that I think we always find ourselves towards back end of a Super League season, particularly when it starts getting a little bit cold and a bit wet. Towards October, we seem to be able to smell that grand final air and the Old Trafford environment. But Hull are a good side, and whilst we had Rob and Danny as a narrative to focus on, I think OSC had Gareth Ellis as well, who's had a fantastic career, was a good teammate of ours, did a lot of great things for Leeds Rhinos back when I pat down with him as 11 and 12 in back row. But thankfully, Danny Maguire and Rob Burrow were playing in a 2004 type form. They were just outstanding this year, and it's a shame that they are moving on. You sort of wonder whether they've got another year in them, but it can't last forever. You've got to move on, and they're both happy about what they're doing 2018 and beyond. But to finish off, get a semi-final win against a great team like Hull at Headingley, which was a pile of rubble for the most part as well, going through its own regenerative sort of process in next decades. It was great to finish off in such fashion for two guys who are not just going to be legends, who are going to be icons.
We wanted to make a statement that night, come out and really flex our muscles, I suppose, in a bit, to say, we're here and we're ready to go. But obviously, the fall of Stevie Ward that night hurt massively, because he's a good mate, and I've seen how much hard work he's put in to get where he's back to and playing his best football, and to see him go down those last minutes was quite devastating.
Don't really remember right lots, to be honest, about the semi-final. Obviously it was a massive game, and I think it seemed to go pretty quick until the last 20. I think until we were in front, then it seemed to drag, and I just remember kept looking at the time, and I thought 10 minutes had gone and it were only 2 minutes had gone and stuff like that. And on Danny and Rob, it didn't seem like their last game as well, I think, because we were all pretty determined to send them out on a high and make sure they got out on the highest stage at Old Trafford. No one really thought about it would have been their last game, and we were all determined to send them off in the right way. When I scored, I was absolutely buzzing. I just remember as soon as I scored, I threw the ball in the crowd, and I just remember Ollie grabbing hold of me and saying, calm down, there's still 20 minutes left. So I had to settle it down. But yeah, when I ended up going down, I thought I'd messed it up by coming back inside because I ended up slipping a bit. I thought, oh no, we're not going to score here. But I managed to worm my way through it and get over the line, and it was a great feeling.
You knew you were going to come away with some bruises, and your body was going to be in the same state as the South Stand afterwards, broken in a big pile. But we got there, we did it. It went right down to wire. I remember chasing Funnell down wing, I think with about 30 seconds to go, 2 points behind, thinking, oh no, don't let him go. And I think I dived off him, bounced off him, somebody else dived on him, and we were just like pinballs, but we put our bodies in way and managed to just scramble and got the job done.
I had to do press. I think it was the Monday we went down to Manchester to meet with the Cass boys and obviously do the grand final build-up and the press and this, that and the other. I was reminded many a time that day of how dominant Cass had been and how, they were the classy Cass and dead-on favourites to win the grand final.
Cass beat us eight times in a row over the last couple of years. There wasn't much emphasis really on that for the grand final and how that played into things. We knew that it was one game, it was one big game that we needed to win. We were 18 minutes away from being able to wear grand final rings and to lift that trophy, and we knew it's a special type of performance. The thing that we had going into that game was that we needed to play to a level that we'd not played at all year, which in itself is quite a scary thing to say and a scary thing to admit.
But I didn't even know it was 8 in a row. I think I might have seen it on Twitter somewhere a few days before the game, but I didn't realise it were 8 in a row that they'd had against us, to be honest. So, that one in my mind at all. As soon as I read that, I thought, it don't really matter. All can happen. If we get a win, then what does that 8 in a row count for?
Didn't really have an impact on me, but there was plenty of reminders that week about it, and I suppose I can fall back on a bit of a memory for me when I was back at Manly, and the Manly team I was a part of had been beaten by Melbourne so many times, and we came out and the underdogs in the grand final ended up winning it 40-0. So you just look back to moments like that in your career and experiences you've been a part of and lucky to be involved in. You just know that there's always a chance.
When Cass beat us, I don't know what it was, 62-10 or something ridiculous earlier on in the season. I didn't play in that game, but I drove there, and I had a few lads who weren't fit, and they all come in my van. We've got a Volkswagen Transporter with 255,000 miles on it, and they all piled on it, and all the smoke piling down Weldon Road, and we were obviously really disappointed having lost that heavily. And there were a lot of Cass fans just banging up windows and outsides and giving me a bit of stick, bit of banter. It was all in decent nature. I've been a few times with Rugby M, so I think they recognised Van. And one particular guy put a baby's dodie on my wiper. I've talked about it a few times, but I won't take the wiper, the dodie off my wiper. I just left it there all season, and it just served as a reminder every time I got in the van what I'm going training for, and how much effort and energy I need to put in, and how much concentration and discipline I need to maintain throughout the season. And it was a reminder, and every time we get beat by Cass at Magic Weekend and then at Edinley, you just seem to have it over us, and whatever we did, just couldn't quite get there. But I knew we just needed to keep building. It didn't matter how many games they'd won in a row, all you need to do is win one, and that's in a grand final. And all you've got to do is get to a grand final, and it's whatever happens that night. And having been there so many times, having had the experience, knowing that Danny and Rob were finishing, seeing the group of young boys who had matured so much in the last sort of 12 months, we knew we had all the ingredients to go there and perform on a big stage. Got some big stage players, some internationals, people like Adam Cuthbertson who thrive in those types of games and those types of environments. So it was about getting there, and we got there, which is the main thing. And then the week building up, I think we were the underdogs, and even the people that wanted the best for us probably didn't quite believe in the head of heads that would win. I think in the heart of hearts, they had the faith. The boys certainly did. Unfortunately, my Dodie got stolen from a window wiper about a month before final, so I didn't have it there as a reminder, but I didn't need it anymore. You know, it'd given me that reminder all season. I think somebody from Bramley, I live in Bramley, had nicked it, so there's definitely a baby in Bramley right now with a Dodie that's been on my wiper for 18 months, sucking away.
We prepared for the final at home all week at Headingley. We trained. It was quite funny. We stuck to just training at Kirkstall all week. I thought we would have got out and about and been down at Headingley a bit, but obviously with the stadium being torn down, we stuck to our base at Headingley, Kirkstall, which is quite strange because Kirkstall's what caused us all the commotion in 2016. So to then have no Headingley to train at and just stick at Kirkstall was it was a good flip on the script, I suppose.
Preparing for the grand final is something that our staff at Leeds are really used to now. Jason Davidson's really used to doing that and getting the lads ready, and also keeping us in a state where we're anxious for it, but good anxious, you know, good nerves and good energy for it.
The night before we stayed in I can't remember what it was called. It might have been a Marriott in Manchester somewhere, and you know, when you stay over the night before, it's always pretty chilled anyway. You always have a bit of a meal together and a meeting, and then you just got the rest of the night to do whatever you want. We first got there and just had a walk to one of the coffee shops, a few of the lads, and I roomed with Ryan, and I've roomed with him twice this year, and there's been a couple of times I've been put off. Joe Moon always put me off him because I think Mooney always used to room with him and he always used to get out of it, and he said, it's terrible to room with him, you know, but I didn't see no problems with him, to be honest. It wasn't too bad.
I roomed with myself because there's a few of us that got a bad reputation for being loud snorers and or pigs. I'm the loud snorer because I've had my nose broken a few times, so I roomed by myself.
Night before final, I prepared in usual fashion, just spend a lot of time with boys really. There's three things that I'm quite particular about. I'm not one of these routine type of guys. I don't believe in superstitions, because all superstitions is a permission slip to not play well if something goes wrong. So I do like to make sure I'm well hydrated, got some good food in me, and get some great sleep. So I had a plan to get to bed early. The great thing about game days, you've no rush to get up in the morning. I had Jordan Lillian with me, who's a Bramley boy. He's a bit of a wild card, but he's a great friend of mine, and somebody who I see as being like a bit of a little brother. I had a great night's sleep, and the boys, you could tell again, just went about their evening as if they were preparing for something special. And I remember we all went in a room, and we all spoke about what it meant to each individual. And you know, moments like that are sacred and stay in those rooms. But there's some great things said, and you saw the maturity of lads like Brad Singleton.
I think me and Moons and Hawley usually the first at breakfast. So I was down at breakfast, I think just before 7, maybe even, yeah. I like to get up early and then go back and have a nap as soon as I can. Then we had a bit of a team walk around Manchester, but it didn't last long because obviously the conditions weren't great. It was good old sunny Manchester. No, it just rains every time I go down there. So we had a brisk walk, should I say?
The team walk, you might have thought, because it's the final that day, everyone might be a bit quiet and a bit nervous, but you know, everyone was just normal. Everyone were laughing, having the normal banter what they have with each other, and you know, we're just good time to be there.
We were right opposite the old Granada Studios in Manchester, so it's where they used to do Coronation Street. But David Dickinson was there performing some ITV show, probably auctioning somewhat off, and there was a lot of people crowding about outside, some of which were rugby league fans actually, so they were shouting and bawling. But we had a walk around Manchester, probably a 20-minute walk, just to stretch our legs.
We had a team walk at about 11 a.m. And then apart from that, it's just chilling out really and resting up and trying to catch a bit of rest. But although you've got that much energy, it surpasses any normal game, so quite tough to do that. But it's it's all about keeping yourself composed and ready to go when 6 p.m. comes and it's kick off.
On the bus on the way there, you know, everyone has their own seats anyway, so you've always got the same people you sit with, and it wasn't too quiet, to be honest. You thought, oh, no one's going to talk, they're just going to put their headphones in and not talk to each other, but you know, everyone were pretty normal, just treating it like a normal game, and I thought that was the best way to go into it, to be honest. I think if you're going in, everyone's right nervous and quiet, even in the change rooms, to be honest, everyone were still having banter with each other. We had this music on, you know, everyone were having a laugh and that until we know when to switch on for the right time.
So the journey to Old Trafford was a bit like the rest of the week. It was quite laid back. Other boys might say differently, but in my head everything was quite laid back, and it was just spent the week enjoying it, and nothing really changed when we got on the bus to go to Old Trafford. We just knew what we had to do, and we were so switched on that everything just came so naturally. We just got in there and did our thing, yeah.
Yeah, journey to Old Trafford, we get on the bus and everybody's got a water, and I think that's when nerves start piling in then, because you're going to war and there's no backing out, and it's a big stage, and it doesn't matter how many times you've played in big finals, big games. I think there's always this feeling of, it's not self-doubt, it's almost the fear of letting somebody down. You know, the physical pain of playing rugby league is enough in itself, but it's nowhere near as big as the thought of, you know, missing a tackle or dropping a ball at a crucial moment, and that having a big impact on the course of the game and the course of the team. And you're just thinking about your involvement, trying to imagine the kick-off and who you're going to tackle, what your job is on that particular evening. And I think it's counter-cultural as well, because we watch films, and in the Hollywood films somebody does some amazing backflip and a somersault and a chip over the top, or some other ridiculous, impossible feat to win a game. That rarely, if ever, happens. I think the only time I've seen it happen is when Danny Maguire chipped over for Ryan Hall in that Aguero moment back in 2015. But the rest of the time, it's just doing your job in a really monotonous fashion. Just keep turning the ball around, knocking out your sets, and doing the little 1%ers really, really well, and just stifling the team. Winning finals is actually quite boring. So you've got to think about how you're going to perform quite boring. And I know, in particular, I can't do it skillful anyway. So my job is to just make the tackles, carry the balls, just keep talking and encouraging people. And people like Ryan Hall and Rob Burrow and Danny Maguire will come up with something amazing. And of course, you know, I'm a big friend, really, really close to Stevie Ward, and just getting round in a little bit as well. Obviously, having dislocated his shoulder the week before, I just think it's amazing and immense for him to put his hand up to play, not just play 80 minutes in a grand final.
So the bus journey to Old Trafford it's a lot more tense than any normal game. I think the fact that it's the last game and the last hurrah, or you know, for Rob and Danny, and the last chance to do something special. It's a really tense kind of, you know, nervous affair really. And then when you're pulling up to Old Trafford and all the fans are surrounding where you enter the changing rooms, it's quite brilliant. It's quite brilliant. You're filled up with so much energy, and it's a special time, and you know that you've got something that you need to do that's big, and but there's so many people supporting it and supporting the game and what's going on. So yeah, it's quite a nervous bus journey, but you know, they're special times. You know, they're great times that you can't really replace.
So the noise in the tunnel was great, because I took my time to just take it all in. This time round, it was a lot better to just sit back and listen to it. And where we came out, the end of the field where we came out was just absolutely just full of Cass supporters, just all the way around. So they were just going wild when we was in the tunnel. And then when the front two boys of the line let out, it just went off. Yeah, it was crazy. The atmosphere, along with, you know, obviously the pyrotechnics that go on, was just brilliant.
That was the main bit I wanted to, you know, I was most excited about, is being in the tunnel and then walking out and feeling the atmosphere. I made sure as soon as I was walking out, I was looking around everywhere and just to try and take it all in. I didn't want to be, because you hear a lot of people say, oh, when they've been there, they've not took it all in and it's gone too quick, so they can't really remember all about it. So I wanted to make sure that I took everything in, and I was looking around at the Cass supporters, at the Leeds supporters, just to try and, you know, make sure I remembered everything what was going on.
Waiting in the tunnel, like the personal experience for me is, I was just so fired up. I remember, just before we started the game, we came back in quite early from the warm-up, and we were in the changing room for about 10 minutes before we went back out to play. So we had that build-up and kind of almost a drop in, momentum, I guess, coming back in and not going straight back out. But I think it helped build up to that moment, lining up in the tunnel at the corner of the field at Old Trafford, and Cass coming out next to you, and walking out. It's the noise is like almost on top of you. It's quite phenomenal, really. And thinking back, it is a bit of a blur, because you're just so focused on what you need to do. And I think we were so focused on the performance we needed to do to win it. But it's it's some experience, and it's something that I think must feed into the energy of the game as well. At Old Trafford, it seems to be whoever can put the most pressure on the other team and keep that the longest. And for the first 20 minutes, I felt like it was either way. But I think we kind of caught hold of that and got a stranglehold on the game, and to be able to kind of manage it, we sort of managed it, but the intensity and the ferocity of the game, it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, of course the intensity was a lot different. You could just tell that by the line speed and the way people getting up off the line and whacking each other, and the intensity rised again in defence because of the conditions that night. It was really wet. You just knew if you could get a good shoulder in or shot, the ball was going to pop out somewhere.
I think the pace of it were very quick, and we seemed to be going set for quite a while, and they seemed to be throwing quite a bit at us in the first half, but we managed to show it out, whereas we hadn't done the previous years.
You've got to play it quite boring grand final. You've got to kick well. You've got to complete your sets. You've got to try not to make any errors, and there's certain moments in the game where you get like a little Mr. Geppetto conscience on your shoulder, where your body's gone, your legs can't move, you can't breathe. You've got this little man on your shoulder saying, just have a breather, just have a minute, you don't have to push across here. And the moment you do that, you leave a gap, somebody makes a break. You've got to ignore that guy and listen to the guy on the other shoulder that's saying, no, you need to be there for your mate. And you just keep pushing through, and that's the intensity that you're asking the other team the question, can you do that? Can you keep up with this?
Most of the game is actually a blur, and I think it had to be that way with my shoulder, and I had to be fully focused on what I had to do, because otherwise I'd have been half-hearted, and that's not the best thing to be at Old Trafford pitch. But yeah, there's a specific memory. I remember kind of going through the line and getting tackled and almost hurting my shoulder, and my shoulder had come up too far than where it wanted to go. Physio came on and I didn't want to come off, and I thought I want to finish the game. When
you win a final, you look back and all you remember is the faces in the photo. You've got your photo at the end and you're all on the little podium there with the trophy and you're all going mad. And over time, when you look back over years, you remember every single face. Someone like, I don't know, Chris McKenna, Marcus Bayer, Richie Mathers and Dave Furner. And you can't remember a single play from the game. But there's some small moments. Rob Burrow scoring that try, I think, in 2011 when he ducked under everybody, which was amazing. And the reason why I remember it is because I wanted ball. I was trying to get the ball off him, and he'd run, I was fuming. But then he ducked, dive, weaved in, out, scored a try. I'm like, ah! It was ace. And something else I always remember about grand finals is we always score second. That wasn't the case this time.
Yeah, the big game finals can be a bit of a blur. Only probably because I knock my head about every time I seem to play in them. I think obviously it's the second Super League grand final I've been a part of, and it's the second one I've been split open and had a big head collision. So it's not a blur. It just goes really quick. By the time that ball gets kicked off to the time it ends, it's over like that.
They go quick, to be honest. I don't know why. To be honest, I couldn't really tell you. I think it's just the whole occasion, especially the week and the build-up and stuff like that. It always seems to go quick. And one minute we were kicking off, and then next minute we're in second half, and then next minute it's game over, and we're lifting trophy. And although it did go quick, I remember being able to manage to take everything in and remember quite a bit about the game.
I knew right in the opening stages of the game that we were on a good track. And the reason why I know is because Cass have blown us away at the start of games all year, and even last year as well. They put us to sword early on, and experience tells me that the longer you can keep it close, the more the opposition melts. And we started really well. We got a few repeat sets. I remember chasing, I think, a Lean Sutcliffe kick or a Ryan Hall kick. I don't know what they were doing, messing about there, and somebody kicked it. And I just chased it and got a repeat set, and I thought, we're building the pressure here. And everybody just kept running with blood to water. So I knew quite early on that I think we had a decent bag. You
could just tell by the opening defensive set when we went out there and we put in hard, and they didn't get the greatest kick off in the first defensive set, kick on the last tackle in the first defensive set. It's generally a good sign, and I just knew the boys would thrive on that and feed on that, you know. After you do a solid opening defensive set, it always builds confidence. Finally got the ball in my hands, and I went into a tackle, and I was sort of turning just to like think about offloading, or at least keep it as an option to make them fall off the tackle a bit, but they just twisted me, and I felt myself roll over my ankle, which is, when I got up, was the thing that was hurting the most. I thought I'd torn something in my ankle because I heard a big pop. I sat out there for about 10 minutes, I think, and I got to a point where it just felt like my whole knee was going to go, or my ankle was, there was something, I just knew there wasn't something right. I came off the field, they assessed it. I think Ben's told me a few times, like we've had a laugh about it now, that he knew my knee was not healthy at all. But he just reassured me, because he knew it was not going to do any further damage, that was okay. So I just strapped it up as tight as I could, really, and did my first run down the field. Doc's given me a few painkillers to take and that. My first run down the field, I just thought, this is stupid. So it was just so frustrating, and I had to have that conversation with Mac over the speakers, the headphones and that, and just reassured him that if I went out there, it was not to do anything spectacular, but just be a spanner in the works, I suppose. And so, yeah, I got out there and just did my best from then on. It was painful and it hurt a lot, but the team's backed me and helped me a lot in that game as well. There was plenty of positive talk and kept me going throughout the whole thing.
And it led up to like 75th minute, and we're obviously way in front. And I just allowed myself to smile. You know, there's very rarely I smile on a rugby pitch. Although I enjoy what I do, there's not much time to allow yourself to take your foot off the gas. But 75 minutes gone, I thought after all this week and, you know, all the weeks build up and whether I wasn't going to play and whether I could play, I just thought I'm going to smile here and just enjoy it and just look around and enjoy the moment. And we'd done something of a big magnitude, and it was brilliant. And, you know, just to enjoy that moment and to kind of feel it fully, it were brilliant.
The moment I knew we won in the grand final, it's funny to say this, but part of me never thought we were going to lose that. The day from kickoff, I swear to you, I looked at my own teammates, I looked at the opposition, and I just knew there was something about today.
My rule of thumb with Leeds Rhinos is a point a minute. So I know we can accumulate a point a minute. So, you know, if we're 18 points down, but there's 20 minutes to go, we can still win, without a doubt. And I always believe that it's going to be tough for a team to score more than a point a minute on you. It happens occasionally, but it's very rare, particularly in big games when everybody's putting a body on line. So I think Magsy scored a few points towards back end and started running about. I think he dropped a goal, didn't he? And he got that try, little kick through back end. And when that happened, I remember walking back and seeing that sea of orange, Cass fans, and just keeping myself to myself. Like, yeah, I think we've got this in the bag here. I think we've disappointed that lot. Despite the fact they've beat us a million times in a row or whatever it was.
I think I knew we'd won when Magsy scored off the kick. Did we put a kick up in air and it bounced back and Magsy ended up picking it up off floor and dived over, and then I think as soon as he scored that, I thought, nah, there's no way they'll come back. I think they might have had to score like 3 tries or something to come back to us by then. I thought, no, there's not a chance we'll be letting in 3 tries, so you seem to get a bit more relaxed now, and then you start to get a bit more smiley and stuff like that, and then, you know, you just get buzzing for the celebrations.
When the hooter went, it was quite a strange thing because a lot of the lads just went into shaking hands, because I think because we knew we'd won for 10, 15 minutes, it was almost like, right, pay respect to Cass and do all that, and I didn't know what to do. I kind of jumping and shouting and guess just finding an avenue to show my joy and elation.
When the hooter went, who did I celebrate with? I was around a ton of people. I think one of the first guys I grabbed was Matty Parcell. Pretty sure he was right near me. Trying to think. Oh no, this makes sense now. Why I can't remember. I got knocked out in the last minute.
One of the things I remember is Adam Cup at someone, he whacked his head up, and he whacked it on my head, so it was a pretty sore moment. As soon as he whacked me, I thought, there was only about a minute left or something like that. I thought, no way, what's going on? I was thinking, I'm going to be bleeding and everything, and then I looked up and realised it would cut his head, so I'm pretty glad about that, to be honest.
I grabbed the physio because he was trying to get me off the field because I got knocked out. So I think I celebrated with the physio. I don't know. Funny you bring that up. I should probably look. Probably good for my memory and the future of my brain.
The best thing about Old Trafford, just in comparison to Challenge Cup, is it's the last game of the year. No more games to play. So you're not on holiday and nobody can take that win away from you until at least February, the year after. So it's one of them where you wake up smiling. People say you're only as good as your last game, but when you were good at Old Trafford Grand Final, you're good for a long time.
Celebrations of the pitch were just mental. I think a year's worth of knowing where we've been in 2016 and all that hard work we put in to turn this club around and ourselves and the team around to get back there and win the grand final just came out in us when that hooter went.
When you see Danny and Rob walking over with the trophy and they're getting ready to lift it with all us behind them and stuff like that, that were the best part of the day for me. And I think when we were walking around, I remember Cal tapping me on the shoulder and he said, your mum and dad are over there, and we'd been through a pretty tough week as a family. We'd lost my grandma on the Wednesday before the final, so I'd had a quite a tough few days just before the game, and Cal tapped me on the shoulder and said, your mum and dad are over there. So I remember just going over to them and giving them a massive hug, and they both had tears in their eyes and things like that, because it's been their dream to see me hopefully lift the trophy at Old Trafford. And from what we'd been through as a family the couple of days before, I think that it really it'd made me grandma proud, and it was a massive proud moment for my family. I
really liked the way they turned the lights out and dim lights. It gave it this sort of NFL feel. It had this epic American football type feel to it, atmosphere.
So on the pitch, after the match, kind of taking it over to see my family and stuff, it was such a proud moment, I think, for me to see my family there, but also doing well for my parents, who obviously for the week before didn't think I'd make the final.
The celebrations for me, my favourite one's always Brian McDermott. It's always I mean, Brian McDermott is the most successful Leeds coach ever, and I know he's got an interesting external perception, and whatever you think of Brian McDermott, he in the lead up to the final, and in particular the semi-final, I think when he got interviewed on Sky and he started blubbering like a Disney princess, and this is a guy who's a Royal Marine Commando, who's been at war, and he gives across that persona as well most weeks when he's stood there very tall and Sergeant Majorish, and he's not like that at all. His personality is a very deep human being, but the smile he has on his face, and it was almost like a childish one, like what kids do, just real innocent, and it just contrasts that pain that he puts himself through the majority of the season. In
front of the fans, that sort of class, I think they celebrate more than what we were doing. You end up walking around with a trophy and you see all the fans going absolutely mad and cheering and singing loads of songs and stuff like that, and it's great to be a part of the celebrations with them. They'll have been through the ups and downs with us throughout the year, what we'd been through, and to be everyone be lifting the trophy at the end towards the fans and them absolutely screaming and going mental, it were class.
The dressing room after the game was mental, to say the least. There's plenty of food just everywhere, like great grouse food just everywhere, just platted up for us, ready to go, and I don't think a bit of it got touched. Everyone just went straight for the beers, champagne. I think the first round didn't even get drunk. We were singing, you know, our song that we sing after every win. It just went off like a frog in a sock. Everyone was just jigging about and spraying Magsy down with the trophy.
We sing our song obviously, and I think Brian Mack coming in wanted to sing it again, mentioning him. He was crackers. And I remember you get some media coming in and talking, taking photographs, and lads all line up to have photographs with trophy, and there's loads of bottles of champagne. So alt media guys that come in to take photos, you just absolutely soak them through with all the champagne and cause them havoc.
So it was pretty much the same squad as 2016 that won the 2017 grand final, and that had all these ups and downs admittedly this year. But it's funny because I think I've mentioned before that we kind of developed this resilience, or this kind of built up process or learnt process to be able to make the tough decisions when we need to. And I think a lot of the boys learned that 2016 when we were struggling, and obviously how we turned that around in the back end in the middle eights. That's something special, and it's something where you've got to challenge yourself, and sometimes you get put in those situations unwillingly, but you've got to challenge yourself to be able to learn and build that process for the future. And I think that helped us this year with the belief and trust that we had with each other to be able to turn some stuff around and go and win those big games. And also we've got people like Danny Maguire, Rob Burrow and Jonesy and all these guys that have done it before. So it helps. That helps as well. And when you're in that situation, it's familiar, and that really does help to just get back on the horse and do it again.
I say to lads, what's the difference between winning and losing? About 70 text messages. It's amazing. So you pick your phone up and you've literally got 70, 75, 80 text messages, everybody going mad saying, oh, well done, well done. You've got to reply to all them, haven't you, son? Or in changing rooms, you start making your way through it. Thank you very much, by the way. Really appreciate them, though. And it's great. When you lose, you've probably got about 3, and 2 of them will be pre-game messages saying all the best, and one of them will say, what time we're meeting tomorrow, something like that.
We like to go back to Long Bar. We go back there after most games, so it was only meant for us to go back there after the grand final and share that moment with them. We're very much about our supporters and this city, so to get back there and share that moment with them as well is quite special, and that's why we did that.
Rob Oates were introducing everyone through the room, and so like, they were absolutely rammed in there. It were chocolate to get through to the other side, and once all the interviews and stuff like that had been done, we were just enjoying everyone's company who were there, and all the fans and the sponsors and that. So it were a great time to be there, going back to celebrate with them.
So we took the trophy to Ellen Road. Unfortunately, Leeds couldn't beat Reading, and they won the best performance. But the highlight for us was at half time when we could parade the trophy. Did a full lap of the pitch, and obviously there's going to be some different fans in there, Cass fans, Bradford fans and stuff like that. There's obviously Leeds United fans, but we got such a great reception.
I almost lost my mind. I became almost a part of the service crew. I thought about I'm going to buy some Rockports and some Stone Island jumpers. But no, I remember walking up towards the back end opposite the Revy stand, and they were all singing All Leeds That Way, and my ears just went boom, back of my neck, and I was absolutely buzzing.
I dare say about 99% of the crowd was all for us, and that was just brilliant, to get a reception like that at a football match where, obviously the country's dominated by football, and to really embrace us and cheer us on as we took a lap carrying that Super League trophy was just brilliant.
It's massive important that fans get a foot with a trophy. They pay their money to watch us week in, week out, and for us to be able to give something back like the grand final trophy, it's special for them. And while they'll, obviously they'll get to see it for a short while, but I'm sure they'll appreciate the time that they'll get to spend and have a look at the trophy and get to touch it as well.
Looking at next season, there's obviously not been many targets or goals laid out. I think we've got to enjoy, the success and rewards that we can achieve through the 2017. And when we come back into pre-season, I think that'll all be laid out, and it'll be interesting because obviously Rob and Danny are leaving, and there's going to be some changes, but it's exciting. It's really exciting.
I thought we had a lot to build on this season. So for next season, I think we need to reinvent the wheel a bit. Not too much, but obviously we've got some key players leaving. We've got a couple of key players coming in, some great players too that will really benefit by. But it's about reinventing and continuing to get better and stronger, and building from this year. And also remembering that 2016, learning from those mistakes we made in the past, remembering what it was like in 2016 when we come into the first week of pre-season and not have the likes of JP and Kylie and Kev there. We're not going to have Rob and Danny there this year, so we can really learn from the end of that season and take it in through to next year with this, which I personally believe will make us stronger again. Because we're ready for it this time around. We know where what we've got to fix and what we've got to do to become better and stick together as a team, and not get too ahead of ourselves because we're the reigning premiers, but just grow from it and be more dominant from it again, and hopefully, work to be the champions of the world because we've got that big game too.